can you just tell me who you are, your background, your involvement within the cattle industry?
You bet. My name is Judd Schomp. I'm a rancher in Martin, South Dakota. I'm not like a lot of ranchers. I'm pretty new to it. I've only been in this about 10 years. And we literally started with nothing and have built into a 250 cow operation over the last 10 years. So I don't really see all of the challenge. I probably see more challenges, I would say, than the guys who've inherited their places or everything. I mean, the day-to-day cattle markets really influence us because, we worked hard to build something in 10 years and feel like we could literally lose everything overnight, I guess.
Yeah. So what did you do before you got into ranching?
I actually grew up on a family farm and ranch, and when I was 12 years old, I saw my dad lose our place. I can't blame it on my dad, I guess, because the interest rates is what got him back in the 80s. He lost everything when I was a little kid, and I didn't understand it up until the last year. I mean, it's really put things in perspective. I've always blamed my dad for losing our family ranch. And over the past year, I've taken that blame away from my dad because I've seen what the banks and the government and everything can do that really dictates how a person can live their life and what opportunities they can take away from people,
So what do you feel are the major issues standing in the way of fair cattle markets today?
I think the biggest issue really is our government. I mean, everywhere you look, they're making a new law and a lot of this didn't make sense to us right off the bat. It seemed like they were tweaking a little law. I'm going to use the corner of your screen here. Over here, they were tweaking a law, and then over here, they were tweaking another one, and maybe down here, they were changing this little law, and it just seemed like over time, these laws that were clear out here have shrunk into us, and now we've got this little loophole, and that's our only path through is that little hole. And I really feel like the big part of it is the government. When President Trump came in, when he said, we're going to make American, we're going to buy American, and that's the way we're going to run this country over the next 4 years is everything's going to be American made, and I'm thinking, yes, that's exactly what we want to hear. We want American beef on our shelves. Everything else is, we've got American steel now. We've got American cars. We've got American gas going into them cars. Everything is American except for our beef. Why can we not get the message to Washington, D.C.? And we've got the message there. It's just that we've got a circuit blown, a little fuse that's blown in between getting that message to President Trump saying, we know that the people in Washington can hear us. We know it, but they're just not taking that message on to President Trump.
So a little bit ago, you spoke of government laws and how the government affects us as producers, essentially. There has been a few proposals brought forward for mandated negotiated cash trade to increase competition within our markets. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, you used the word mandated, and that seems to be the loophole that industries like NCBA hate. They use that word mandated. And I'm sorry, but the beef checkoff is mandatory. If they want to use the word one way, let's open it up and use it against them, which they're doing to us. I do believe that there needs to be mandates. I mean, if you just say, oh, we're going to do voluntary, things don't work. If the checkoff was voluntary, it's still going to be partially mandatory because we're going to take your dollar. We're going to tax you $1 per head every time you sell that calf. That's a tax on us, which needs to be mandatory, saying that, okay, we're going to take that dollar. But the voluntary part of it could be, we're going to allow you to pick where that dollar is being spent. The mandatory price reporting, I think, is a great deal. There's been a lot of debate over it.
So a few weeks ago, our president, President Trump, he made the statement that he would like to terminate trade deals where we import cattle. What are your thoughts on imports, cattle and beef, both?
We raise enough cattle in the United States. We don't need imported beef. We've got cattle right here in the United States that need killed, and we're importing cattle from other countries and putting, that was another thing President Trump said. We're going to put America first. We're not first in the cattle industry. We're absolutely not first. And a perfect example of imported meat They say they need lower quality meat to mix with our good meat to keep food affordable. Our kill cow market right now is at 62 cents a pound. A kill cow is between $600 and $800 a cow. We have, part of our income is the kill cows, and that gets left out a lot, as people don't realize how much the older cows need to go to the slaughter plant. And when you go sell a perfectly good condition cow weighing 12 to 1,400 pounds, and you're getting $1,600 or $600 for that cow, there's something really wrong, because that should have a lot of value. And if we didn't have our imported meat, we would have that kill cow market back to where we might almost be profitable. We wouldn't need that calf to bring a certain dollar amount, because we would have cows coming in to supplement our income.
President Trump, he asked the DOJ to investigate Meatpacker pricing. What do you think of that investigation, and do you think we will get any answers from that?
I think it's all hot air. I mean, I think it's lip service, to put it mildly. When the Holcomb plant burned down, the packing plant in Holcomb, Kansas, we're going to do this big investigation of what went on there. Did we hear anything? No, that was clear back in October. They keep telling us we're going to do these investigations. How long does it really take to do an investigation? This price fixing deal, they're never going to give us any answers. They've been telling us Wendy's for so many years now. They started taking the price of our cattle down in 2015 when they repealed mandatory country of origin labeling. After the Holcomb fire, they took it clear down to absolutely nothing. I mean, where our calves had very little value on them. And everybody started squealing, and everybody started talking, and people started coming together. Well, then they crept the price of them cattle up just a little bit, and it's almost like, how much grease do we need to add to this bearing before it stops squeaking? We're only going to give it as much as it needs, and when it stops squeaking, then we'll just keep it there. I mean, I really think it's lip service just to keep us producing more cattle for them.
Do you think there is a chance that we might price ourselves out of a product? Obviously, consumers they've been gouged for the past couple months, and hopefully prices come back down in the grocery stores. We obviously don't know when. Box beef prices have been dropping significantly. But do you think there's a chance, if this situation goes on a little bit longer, that consumers' tastes will change?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. I went to the grocery store on Monday, and I was walking around the aisles getting groceries, and I walked up and they had a big sign on bacon. Bacon was $1.99 a pound. And I thought, oh my God, that's a good price on bacon. So I'm sitting here loading my cart up, and I thought, just out of curiosity, I wonder what the price of hamburger is. So I walked 10 feet, to the hamburger aisle, $5.99 a pound for hamburger. Hell, I'm going to go to eating bacon. A pound of bacon, $1.99. I'll have bacon sandwiches with everything.
Yeah.
So I went. My daughter got a gift certificate at the locker plant, and so she wanted to go up there and use her gift certificate that she got for FFA. So I just asked them what the price of hamburger was through there, and they said they're sold out by the end of every day. They cannot produce enough hamburger at the locker plant to suffice our small little town of 700 people. They said, what are you getting for hamburger? And they said $3.50 a pound. That's a $3 change between the grocery store and the locker plant. So, people are starting to figure it out that they need to go to the locker plant. I've got a couple fat steers that are going to go to the locker plant myself in June. And I had one scheduled, and I thought, if I'm taking one, people could be hungry by then. If they don't get the packing houses open back up, there could be demand there. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule two. I'm still going to get my $2 a pound hanging weight. My price hasn't changed. And I don't think many of the local producers that sell beef are going to change their price a whole lot, So if people start figuring out, if I can buy a quarter or a half of a critter from a local rancher, if I could figure out a place to get that beef processed, I can afford to buy a deep freeze and get the deep freeze for free and have a half a year's worth of meat on supply. It's just getting that message out to the consumers.
Cattle producers have been facing some tough markets here for quite a few years, and then things fell out of bed here in the past couple months. Have you seen the effects of these tough cattle markets in your rural area?
Oh, absolutely. I come from a small town in southwestern South Dakota. South Dakota's number one industry is agriculture. It doesn't matter if you work at the post office, if you work flipping burgers at McDonald's, your income comes from agriculture if you live in South Dakota. I know there's a feed mill, or not a feed mill, but a mineral salesman here that's probably going to go out of business. Everything's getting tight. I've needed a tractor here for about 3 years now, and been working with my local banker saying, hey, I need a tractor. When I walked in there last fall, he goes, well, we're not getting the tractor this year either, you know, and it's, we're not improving on anything. My place here, it's been just about 4 years since I've improved on anything. I've got my calving barn needs tin on the roof. I mean, it's starting to get some major leaks. There is no budget for improvements to the place. I mean, things are kind of running on standby, on idle, and you see that through the whole community. You know, nobody's going to town. Nobody's spending any money. The state revenue here is down dramatically. You know, with the COVID-19 deal, they're paranoid, and I've seen this coming for years now because they keep lowering the price of our cattle. And when that happens, you start wearing on your state's economy. So it goes as far as your roads start crumbling because they don't have the money to fix the roads. It literally boils down to everything in South Dakota. If you're agriculture, and it's not just the cattle market, it's the grains, it's agriculture as a complete whole. When you hurt the economy in agriculture, you literally hurt your entire state.
In the cattle industry, we have seen packer consolidation for years, and we've known that we have had fundamental issues within our cattle markets for quite some time. However, we just kind of put it on the back burner, just kept chugging along. Why do you feel that we turned a blind eye to that?
When you let foreign governments control your food supply, which is what's happened with the packers, JBS being Brazilian owned, and you have China coming in, controlling our packing houses. Granted, they have the money, you know, but we really need to have somebody step up in our government and say, we can't have this. If we're going to mandate things, let's put it down to 25% ownership. You know, if foreign companies want to invest in our food supply, a little bit would probably not hurt anything, but we cannot have majority control owned by foreign investors. When you see China coming in and starting to buy our farm ground and shipping our soybeans over to China, there's something really wrong here. I mean, somewhere we failed, you know, and it's time for I think the momentum would be there if somebody would just get to our president and say, hey, this is what's going on, but I don't feel like our Secretary of Ag is at all doing his job. When you have 4 meatpacking plants going, it's just not going to work in the cattle industry.
If you could sum it up into one sentence, what does the cattle industry need most today?
What the cattle market has that it needs most today is good operators. And the good operators are there. That's what it needs, and that's what it has. I mean, you have people that devote every single minute of their life to feeding the nation. What we need is people to quit throwing hurdles in front of us and let us do our job. You know, we're producing the best food in the world at a reasonable cost. We need people to quit taking advantage of us. We need lawmakers to work with us. We need to find people of power, of influence that can stand up and help us fight this fight. And when people start paying $6, $7, $10 for hamburger, the blame gets put on me, and I'm not the one doing it. We need education. We need the public to step forward and see what we're going through here and say, hey, how do we help you guys fight this battle?